I remember my life used to feel so boring. I would always indulge in instant gratification stuff, like I would always play video games. I would even watch YouTube shorts. I would watch like long gaming videos. Like I used to just indulge in so much stimulation that my life literally felt boring. Everything, like in school, all right, I would be sitting there and I would be just imagining what I would do when I get home, like playing a video game. I would be like thinking of a random scenario in my head instead of actually listening to the teacher. I just, like, it felt so boring to literally do anything else other than stimulate myself. I would especially like things that normal people would just also consider boring, right? Like being in a doctor's office. I could not be in a doctor's office without headphones on and listening to like some YouTube video. I could not like just sit through the experience of just being bored. And it's because whenever you keep stimulating yourself, the level of non-stimulation it takes to actually feel bored decreases. So instead of, you're kind of doing something, but you're not bored, right? Even though you're not listening to anything, you're just kind of like, I don't know, washing the dishes or something. That will feel boring, even though you're doing something, right? But it still feels boring because you're not getting stimulated. And that's the problem. Whenever I quit all the stimulation that I used to do, my life doesn't feel boring now. It feels, first of all, it feels meaningful, but second of all, I just feel content instead of boredom. Because, I'm doing the same things as I'm doing now, right? I'm like washing the dishes. I'm like my life is pretty much the same, right? Obviously, I've improved it, but it doesn't feel boring now, even though I'm actually doing less in the day. And that's why I quit like stimulation stuff, right? Whenever I quit YouTube Shorts, especially, like, first of all, your attention span increases, right? But second of all, normal things don't feel boring. Like I can eat a meal and not feel bored. And that's just a magical experience that you can literally just do something without scrolling on TikTok while you're doing it. Like you see people in like fast food chains, right? They're eating the food, but in their other hand they're like have like TikTok scrolling, like, oh, like bro, enjoy one thing at a time. And then obviously these people, right? They go to school and they literally can't focus. Like they used all their brain power and they can't do it because they've trained their brain to just not be able to think on one thing at a time. Especially like YouTube Shorts and TikToks are the biggest killers. Like you're getting new stimulus every second or 2 seconds or whatever. It's horrible for you. And because of that, everything else feels so dull. Like everything else in comparison to YouTube Shorts getting stimulated every half a second, everything else feels boring because you're not getting stimulated at such a high rate or stimulated at all. And how I quit it was I went one thing at a time. I didn't do like I know some people do the approach where you just decrease the amount of time you do everything in general. But personally, I just did it one thing at a time. So the first thing I quit watching was YouTube Shorts. And then after that, I also stopped playing video games. But after that, I was just left with like watching gaming YouTube videos. And once you're left with one thing that you do to stimulate and entertain yourself, it's the hardest thing to remove. And with the previous two things, YouTube Shorts and gaming, like once I quit those, I could always turn back to like entertainment videos on YouTube because even though I was using I wasn't playing games, I wasn't using YouTube Shorts. I was still watching the gaming videos instead of doing those things. And so whenever you're left with one final thing that you just keep using and it's just the one thing you can't get rid of, slowly replace it with something else that you actually find pleasurable, but that's actually good for you. Reading a book, like listening to podcasts. That's the one thing I did. I listened to podcasts instead of the gaming YouTube videos. Like slowly but surely, I like transitioned from gaming to podcasts that actually teach me things. And even though, I'm still watching YouTube videos, sure, I actually have to focus for hours on end and actually think and use my brain. And so, even though I'm watching YouTube still, I still actually don't feel bored normally. And it genuinely, it's a magical experience once you feel it where you don't have to be stimulated to be entertained. Like I can literally just be like talking with my family, right? And I'm genuinely like smiling, like I'm happy because I don't need TikTok next to me with like two separate videos, like one GTA 5 like clip and another like some guy talking about some random thing. I don't need that to be happy. And I want you to actually experience that. Like it's genuinely magical.